In the village of Nwaorie, a young woman named Ifeoma is forced into a marriage with the wealthy but paranoid Chukwuemeka, tearing her away from her true love, Nnamdi. Isolated and abused, Ifeoma's life becomes a nightmare until a dramatic turn of events reveals the dark side of Chukwuemeka's character and frees her from his grip. Discover the powerful story of love, sacrifice, and the ultimate triumph over greed and control in this gripping tale. Once upon a time, in the bustling village of Nwaorie, lived a powerful and affluent man named Chukwuemeka who yearned for a perfect wife. His obsession led him to seek out a pure and untouched woman, someone who would stand as a testament to his wealth and status. This search brought him to Ifeoma, a beautiful young woman from a modest family. She was already engaged to Nnamdi, a poor but loving farmer who had tirelessly worked to win her father's approval. Ifeoma and Nnamdi's love was the stuff of fairy tales. They had grown up together, their bond strengthened by shared dreams and whispered promises under the moonlight. Nnamdi had saved every penny, sold his prized possessions, and even taken on extra work to gather the bride price required by Ifeoma's father. Their future seemed bright and full of hope. One fateful day, as Chukwuemeka's search for a bride intensified, he overheard a conversation about Ifeoma. Intrigued by her reputed beauty and purity, he set his sights on her. Chukwuemeka, with his imposing presence and vast wealth, approached Ifeoma's father with an offer that was impossible to refuse. He promised not only to cover the bride price, but to elevate the family's status in the village, providing them with a life they had never dreamed of. Ifeoma's father, Uche, was initially torn. He knew of Nnamdi's sincere love for his daughter and the sacrifices he had made. However, the lure of wealth and the potential to escape their life of hardship clouded his judgment. Despite Ifeoma's desperate pleas, Uche accepted Chukwuemeka's proposal, sealing her fate with a handshake that felt more like a prison sentence. The wedding was a grand affair, attended by the entire village. Ifeoma, dressed in resplendent traditional attire, looked every bit the queen she was being made to feel like. But behind her forced smiles and the layers of makeup, her eyes betrayed a profound sadness. Nnamdi, heartbroken, watched from a distance, his dreams shattered. As Ifeoma settled into her new life, the reality of her marriage quickly became apparent. Chukwuemeka's charm faded, revealing a man consumed by paranoia and control. He was convinced that every man who looked at Ifeoma desired her, and that she would betray him given the chance. This insecurity led him to impose strict restrictions on her movements. Ifeoma was not allowed to leave the house, not even to visit her family. Visitors were turned away at the gate, and she was cut off from the world she once knew. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Ifeoma's once vibrant spirit was crushed under the weight of her isolation. She was forbidden from speaking to anyone, and her only companion was silence of the opulent prison Chukwuemeka called home. Her mother, worried and heartbroken, made several attempts to visit, but each time Ifeoma had to pretend she wasn't home to avoid Chukwuemeka's wrath. The abuse was not only emotional, but also physical. Chukwuemeka's suspicions led to violent outbursts. Ifeoma bore the brunt of his anger, suffering in silence, her body marked by the evidence of his cruelty. Despite the luxurious surroundings, her life was one of constant fear and despair. One day, Chukwuemeka's insecurities reached a new level of cruelty. He presented Ifeoma with a chastity belt, a medieval device meant to ensure her fidelity. He locked it with a padlock and took the key with him every time he left the house. The belt was heavy and painful, cutting into her skin and making every movement a torture. Ifeoma endured this additional humiliation, her spirit breaking a little more each day. Desperate and in excruciating pain, Ifeoma decided to take a risk. One afternoon, she managed to sneak out of the house while Chukwuemeka was away. The villagers stared at her in confusion and pity as she made her way to the local locksmith. She pleaded with him to remove the belt, and seeing her agony, he agreed. With the padlock finally off, Ifeoma felt a brief moment of relief. But her troubles were far from over. Determined to find Chukwuemeka and confront him, Ifeoma searched the village, asking everyone she met if they had seen him. No one had any information, and her worry grew with each passing hour. As evening fell, she returned home only to find a strange man standing at her gate. He claimed to know where Chukwuemeka was and offered to take her to him. Ifeoma, driven by a mix of anger and concern, followed the man. He led her to a small, secluded hut by the village river. As they approached, she could hear muffled voices inside. The man pushed open the door, revealing a shocking sight. Chukwuemeka was entangled with another woman, unable to separate from her due to a powerful charm. The woman was married, and her husband, known for his potent charms, had placed a spell on her to catch any unfaithful partner. Chukwuemeka's screams filled the air as the villagers gathered around, witnessing his humiliating downfall. The irony of the situation was not lost on anyone, least of all Ifeoma. Here was the man who had imprisoned her, now trapped in a humiliating and painful situation of his own making. The husband of the woman, a stern and imposing figure, arrived at the scene. Ifeoma, despite everything, begged him to release Chukwuemeka. The man agreed, but with a grave warning: the separation ritual would be dangerous and could lead to death. Desperate and humiliated, Chukwuemeka insisted on going through with it. The ritual was performed, and moments after being freed, Chukwuemeka collapsed and died. The villagers watched in stunned silence, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. Ifeoma, now free from her husband's tyranny, was left to process a whirlwind of emotions. She was free, but the cost of that freedom was immense. News of Chukwuemeka's death spread quickly. Ifeoma's family, filled with regret and sorrow, came to comfort her. Uche, her father, was particularly stricken with guilt. He begged Ifeoma for forgiveness, realizing too late the grave mistake he had made by prioritizing wealth over his daughter's happiness and well-being. Ifeoma, though deeply hurt, forgave him, understanding that holding on to anger would only prolong her suffering. In the aftermath, Ifeoma inherited Chukwuemeka's wealth. While it could never replace the time and happiness lost, it provided her with a sense of security. Nnamdi, who had never stopped loving her, returned to her side. He offered her the support and love she desperately needed. Their bond, tested by unimaginable trials, grew stronger. As time passed, Ifeoma and Nnamdi rekindled their romance. The village, having witnessed their story of love, betrayal and redemption, rallied around them. They celebrated the couple's eventual marriage with joy, glad to see Ifeoma finally find the happiness she deserved. Ifeoma and Nnamdi's love story serves as a poignant reminder. True love and kindness are invaluable, and the pursuit of wealth at the expense of human decency leads only to ruin. Their journey was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of genuine, selfless love. Thank you for joining Jom's journey and experiencing the power of acceptance and resilience with us. If you found her story inspiring, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for more captivating tales ahead. Until next time, farewell.